Omar Hamoui and Haydar Sabri from Churn Labs. Please welcome them to the stage.
Hello, my name is Omar Hamoui. I'm formerly the founder and CEO of AdMob, and now actually a partner working on something called Churn Labs. And at Churn, what we're doing is really exploring what we think are some greenfield opportunities. We're really looking at areas of technology that we think haven't really been fully explored, fully charted, and we're basically building anything in those areas. We don't care how crazy it is or how silly it is. We're basically going to build products in those areas because we kind of feel like just by being there and seeing what we learn, we may bump into even more interesting opportunities. And so I'm going to introduce you to Haydar Sabri, a member of our team, who's going to walk you through one of our very first projects.
Hello, everyone. As you all know, the basic principle of building a new product or service is to build something that everybody wants and needs. Yeah, so we decided not to do that at all. Instead, we decided to build something and expend all of our engineering power and our resources and our brain power on building a product solely around gnomes. Yes, gnomes, those magical characters that we all have grown to love. Now you wonder why? The reason why is we thought to ourselves, wouldn't it be cool to have a gnome in your pocket, to take him with you, to build your very own custom gnome and take him with you, to take pictures with him, to take him to different venues, to take him to different landmarks and record that gnome at that spot. And then at some later point, to hand that beautiful gnome off to a friend, give it to him on his device, and at that point in his journey, your friend will take him to wherever he goes, again checking him in and taking him to different places around the globe. So that's actually the entire concept behind, all the while, by the way, all the while you're actually getting updates on where your gnome is, where he went, and who he's with, and what he's doing. So that's the high level behind what we're calling non-stop gnomes. So why don't you join me at the iPad so I can go through the quick demo. So here we got a couple of veteran gnomes, and we're going to talk about Lebowski. Lebowski is actually very special to us because he was born in the lab, and he's been traveling between devices amongst all the guys in the lab, and he's traveled almost 2,500 miles. And these are a couple of photos that he's been taking. So this morning he was disrupting. Later on, he was actually on the ledge of the hotel contemplating thoughts. He actually rescued Batman at Times Square on Saturday night and visited David Letterman and so on and so forth, hanging out at the lab, and then he took a wrong turn and he got dunked in the toilet. So that's Lebowski, and actually all of these, you can actually see them on the map and follow your gnome wherever he's going. So we know that everybody here is going to install this app at some point, so everybody would like to know, how do you get a gnome on your device? And it's very important to know that a gnome can only live on one device. He's a digital object, but he's uniquely placed in one physical location all the time. So how do we do that? There's two ways. One is to create a custom gnome. Just like we created Lebowski, we come in here and we design our gnome and give him the attributes that he likes and give him a name and a mission in life. The other way, actually, is what we want to demonstrate where, let's say you want to transfer your gnome to a new friend. We're calling this process lift. So in researching the way gnomes actually transport, we came up with the conclusion that they're magical in the way they transport. So here I'm going to show you, I'm not sure if the camera sees this, but we have a gnome actually that was born today. It's his birthday today. And his name is Disrupt, and he's actually going to leave my iPhone, where he resides currently, and he's going to end up on the iPad in a process that we call lift. So pay close attention as I do this, because as I open up with the iPad, there's going to be an image finder, or the viewfinder, and it's going to lift Disrupt from one device to the other. Here we go. So in that sense now, Disrupt is completely on this device now, and I think we had a small little bug here. Murphy's Law never proves invalid. So now Disrupt lives on this. Oh, he's on.
Try it again.
What's that?
I think you should give it another shot.
So, moving on. So now he actually lives on this iPad, and we could take travel entries with him, and the next time that a travel entry is made, everybody who has had Lebowski, or Disrupt in this case, on his device will actually get a notification saying, hey, Disrupt is actually at Disrupt in Manhattan, and here's a picture of him, and everybody who's been along that path with Disrupt will actually get to comment and join in the fun. So there's actually a lot of other features that we have in the app, but I'm going to hand it over to Omar to wrap things up.
Yeah, so I actually just want to talk a little bit about Lyft, because we're not going to go into that in too much detail today, but that is kind of one of the things that we thought were more interesting in terms of playing with this application that we were building. And what we're really thinking about is, I have an iPad, I have a computer, I have all of these different products, but how can I connect them in a more interesting way? Is there a way I could do something where I could get drag and drop to really work between devices as opposed to on only one particular device? So could I drag and drop through the screen? And so what you can probably see here essentially is I have my phone, and on my phone there are 3 photos. It's hard to really see that. But there are effectively 3 photos on my phone that I can basically drag through the phone and drop on the iPad below. And what will happen there is it would disappear and basically appear on the iPad through the phone. So I don't know if you guys caught that. But basically, on this iPad right now, there's imagine this as a folder or an area waiting to receive a photo. And on my phone, I effectively have some pre-photos that I've just taken. I can drag them over and go ahead and drop through the phone, and it will basically appear on the iPad. And so that's basically what Lyft is. It's a way of doing a different way of device interconnectivity. So there you have it, a couple of the products we're working on at Churn. Thank you very much.
Churn Labs, everyone. Gnomes. I hope every other startup pitching today has a gnome. So the bar is set way high now. Yossi, Gnomes.
I don't know how I will live without Gnomes from now on.
You've ruined
I
Yossi,
want to become a gnome.
Yeah. You heard it here first. Yossi Vadi should become a gnome.
So Lyft looks very interesting, kind of reminds me of Bump. So is that kind of maybe a future plan to have like some type of API that people can use to leverage that technology?
Yeah, essentially, I mean, it is something that we came across as we were working on this Nonstop Gnomes app. We were just sort of like not really liking how device interconnectivity was working.
Right.
And so we're thinking, and so that is a project that's actually underway right now. And as you said, it kind of reminds us of Bump too. So perhaps it could be used in a similar way.
Both with Sequoia as investors, so we'll see how that works out. Interesting.
Chris?
I mean, Omar is one of the most successful entrepreneurs of the last decade, so if he says gnomes are the next big thing, I guess you're right, you know more than I do. So.
We're going to see a huge number of gnome-related apps now.
Right, exactly.
You may have...
We'll see what happens.
It's going to be a new sector, the gnome space.
I think we might lead the market in gnomes.
There are any gnomes among the crowd, or?
Are there any gnomes among the crowd? Well, right now the application actually isn't available yet. Just probably in 1 to 2 weeks, another magical process known as App Store approval has to happen, and then hopefully it'll be available.
That's all right. So, oh, sorry, Dave.
Well, I was just going to, I had, Omar, Churn Labs, Steve Jang, Schematic, Kevin Rose with Milk. So there's, some kind of key entrepreneurs that have started these little labs.
Yep.
How is it, how's that going? It seems like, I don't know where you were in the process with the other, obviously Milk was just started. It seemed like you started a few months ago or maybe late last year.
Yeah, I started late last year. So I think what you're finding, probably among this latest crop of people is, I mean, when somebody goes through when somebody's in a situation where they can sort of do whatever they want, a lot of people will say, well, I'm going to go hang out on the beach or go skiing or whatever. But I think for all of us, this is what we want to do. We just like doing this. And so whether it's something that's going to be ridiculous and silly or something that is going to be a little more serious, this is actually what we enjoy doing. And so I think that's just what the process that you're seeing. It's not a particular new crazy way of, the most efficient way to make money. I'm pretty sure that it's not. But it is what we enjoy doing. So I think that's what all of us are doing.
Right.
That's all right. Any questions or thoughts?
It's so hard to ask questions about gnomes, right? I knew I would stump all of you guys. They're digging, what do I know about gnomes?
Yeah.
How can I?
Yeah, you don't have to ask a question about gnomes. You can ask about almost anything.
Why don't I ask why gnomes?
Why gnomes?
Yeah.
We just thought it was, I mean, honestly, the concept of, we're in a place now where we're going from the proliferation of these smartphones to ubiquity, right? Now everybody has them. And so I'm just interested to see if people will do this. Like, are they really going to like connect their devices, pass a digital object from one physical person to another, and then will it matter? Like 4 people down the chain, am I going to care that I'm getting photos back from this gnome? Is it going to be more interesting to me than all these photos I'm getting on Instagram or all these other places? Because I mean, lots of the photos that he showed are completely uninteresting, but they're all funny to us because we all carry that gnome around. It's like this inside joke that everybody who had the gnome or whatever it is happens to be in on. And so I'm just curious to see whether or not that kind of social connection means anything. We don't know yet, but
it reminds me a little bit of, do you guys geocache?
Yes.
Yeah, so like I love geocaching, and there's like a million people that do it or whatever. And one of the cool things, right, is you see how the little thing traveled around the world or whatever.
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
Like,
you can see it on the map, so it's pretty interesting.
Where my dollar bill, where they stamp it. I know there was another one.
Yeah.
And to that extent, is augmented reality in your future, where you can hold up a phone and maybe see where the gnome might be in the future?
Yeah, actually, that's how it works. So when you're taking a picture, we didn't demo that part, but when you're taking a picture, you actually see the gnome in the viewfinder, and you can drag him around and resize him and turn him and scale and then position him. That's how all those pictures came to back. So it's sort of augmented reality. I mean,
are you going to offer non-gnome things, other objects that you could travel around, or is it just gnomes for now?
For now, it's just gnomes. I mean, it's pretty serious. It would be a huge departure. I mean, you know, we'd have to be careful about that. We don't want to go crazy.
Formula the world.
Yeah.
I think you've got a lot of room for
expansion.
All right, any more gnome-related questions? Wow, you won the panel over. Everyone
awesome.
here is all gnome focused from now on.
All right.
Big round of applause for Churn Labs.
Thanks very much.
All right, a great way to end. Always good to end on a gnome. So just want to get one more